No, what's the real issue, dude?
Didn't test drive it.
Rick Harrison has always tried to come across as a family man, but the truth is actually much darker. Rick seems to have a pretty complicated relationship with his son Corey, and you won't believe all the crazy drama they've had with each other. Despite all his personal hardships, Corey eventually managed to realize his dream of becoming part owner of the family business with his dad. However, working at the gold and silver pawn shop has forced him into some head-on collisions with Rick, and some of them have gotten pretty out of hand. One infamous clip from Pawn Stars shows how the father and son's tempers could flare at each other. We saw Corey make a decision to buy a boat for over $16,000. However, it soon became clear that Rick didn't appreciate the purchase. He explained why the family business never invested in boats. He described them as holes in the water that you throw money into, and that there was no money to be made from them. When Rick confronted Corey about it, things got even more heated, especially after Corey revealed that he hadn't even test-driven the boat. This led to a pretty insane argument with Rick and Corey cursing and shouting at each other. The fight ended with Corey throwing things around the office as he walked away from his dad. Despite his anger, a lot of people commented on the clip to say that they sided with Rick. In fact, some were even concerned about what might happen to the shop in the show when it was Corey's turn to take full charge. And the thing is, Rick doesn't really have many other options as to who he could give the shop to other than Corey. His other son Adam has been reported to have no interest in appearing on the show or taking the shop. I guess there's always Jake, but it still looks like Corey will most likely be the one to take over, which is interesting. He's had so many issues over the years, and the most well-known problem Corey's had to deal with was actually pretty scary. In fact, it nearly cost him his life. In 2014, he and his family were preparing for his 31st birthday party. He was riding his motorcycle while running errands for supplies for his party when something shocking happened. According to Corey, a piece of the bottom fender mount broke off from the bike. Corey was sent into a terrifying 40 miles per hour tailspin. He did the only thing he could and jumped off the bike. Even though the landing caused him some serious injuries, he chose not to go to the hospital. Instead, he went right back to the party and only afterward went to the ER, where he discovered he had broken his hand. Compared to what could have happened if he didn't jump off the bike, this was probably a lucky escape. But another incident a couple of years earlier had some people convinced that something was seriously wrong. Viewers noticed that he had lost a drastic amount of weight. At first, a lot of people thought he was sick, but the truth was that he was actually taking positive steps. He had been diagnosed as pre-diabetic, and if he didn't lose weight fast, things could start getting very serious for Corey. But he did make some changes, which at least shows that he was able to follow through on some things. So maybe Rick leaving him the shop won't be so bad. The two of them are actually really similar in some ways. Rick has been married and divorced 3 times, most recently to Deanna Burdett, who he broke up with in 2020. And shockingly, Corey has found himself on a similar path. He has so far been married and divorced twice. His first marriage was to his childhood sweetheart, Charlene Steele, which lasted from 2009 to 2015. And 2 years later, he married a woman known as Karina, or Kiki, who he had a child with. They separated a month before their son's birth. Although it looks like some unfortunate traits have been passed from father to son, Rick and Corey have also had a lot of great times together. Their work as reality TV stars has given them some pretty unbelievable opportunities they would otherwise have missed. Last year, Corey shared a photo on Instagram of him and Rick at a restaurant in Chile. In the caption with the photo, Corey wrote that it was not only his first time in Chile, but also his first time drinking espresso. So although they might not always see eye to eye, the two of them still have plenty to be grateful for, and a lot of new experiences still to share together. Plus, they're definitely not the worst father-son duo in the family. In 2018, Richard Harrison, aka the Old Man, made headlines for the brutal way he treated one of his sons. Richard actually cut his son Christopher out of his last will and testament. The will was obtained by The Blast, and it laid out a pretty savage explanation of what the late Richard wanted for his family. He started off by sharing his warm feelings about his son. He wrote that he would like to express his love and affection for Christopher, but for the purposes of the will, he had intentionally and with full knowledge failed to provide for him and his kids. Richard's original will named his wife, Joanne Rue, and his 3 children as beneficiaries according to court records. But in 2017, his youngest son was suddenly removed. At first, everyone was just confused and couldn't figure out why Richard had made this decision. And the answer showed just how much tension really existed in the family that they didn't want to be known by the public. Christopher was never as attached to the family business as his dad and brothers, so it could be that Richard thought Christopher didn't deserve to get anything from his estate, as he had not actually done anything to contribute to the money the family took in as pawn shop owners and reality TV stars. So far, this has been the best explanation that anyone has been able to come up with. In fact, even Richard's lawyer has spoken publicly to say that Richard never really explained why he did what he did to Christopher. Because of this, it has remained a point of real curiosity for everyone watching the show. One fan commented on the situation online. They wrote, "Sorry, I actually would like to know why he was left off." They asked if perhaps Christopher didn't get along with his dad and older brother Rick. It definitely looks like of the two, it was Rick who really shared a close relationship with Richard. In fact, when asked to look back on his dad after he passed away, Rick described him as a hero and said that he was fortunate to get a very cool old man as his dad. And the fact that he got to share him with so many others and they got to see what a great family man he was is something he was grateful to have experienced. moments. However, the way he treated Christopher seemed to cast some doubt about exactly how great a family man Richard really was. The Harrison family might not be as close-knit as they would probably like us to believe. But what do you guys think about all this? Will Rick, Corey, and the rest of the family continue to have problems with each other? Let me know in the comments below.